Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I'm back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 8, Episode 10. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we're more than halfway through the season now, right? Like, how many episodes can they get? 18, right? And that includes the reunion, which is sure to be a two-parter this season because not too much been going on. But anyways, okay. So this episode starts off with Karen getting a tattoo with the Raven. It was so cute. Like I just think that Raven has grown into such a beautiful young lady. I think she's really cool. And I think that the love she has for her mother is like top notch. I think, like I said, a lot of these women, when you factor in their children, that becomes the best part of them. I like the ground dom regardless, but I think how cool Raven is very telling. So they go to get matching tattoos. They're getting little G's for her grandmother, for her mother and Raven's grandmother, Georgia. I thought it was cute. Karen gets it on her ankle. Raven gets it on her arm. Apparently, she already has like another tattoo very close. So yeah, it was just like a cute little mother-daughter experience. But it was funny because the tattoo artist's name was Ray. So Karen was like, "Oh, Ray would never get a tattoo. Like it's not his thing." And she was like, but that's fine because I don't want to be on here like Robin and Juan. And then they revert back to Robin and Juan getting matching tattoos. And it's like, why you do that, Karen? She's like, you see how that worked out. Like, Karen, this is the funny light shade that Giselle was talking about because, like, you didn't have to do it, but it made that little portion that much better. Like that type of shade is always funny. Um, I think we got a lot of really good flashbacks this season. I mean, this episode. But yeah, so then Karen wants to do breakfast. She tells Raven that she wants to do breakfast with her, Giselle, and Grace, just so Raven can kind of tell her how college is like and what it's like going off and like going to a different state because she went to New York. Um, and Raven is a little like, well, mom, you want me to sit down with Giselle? And I get it, right? Because when you really love your parent, I know, please don't come for me. There's a lot of people who apparently did not have good relationships with their parents. I'm sorry to y'all. I'm sorry for that trauma and so forth. But when you really do like your parent, people who don't like your parents, they piss you off, or people who shade your parents or do stuff to your parents. So like if Grace, Adora, and Angel didn't like Candace, that would make sense, right? Because it's like people who don't like your parents, like that's like personal. Like I want to fight you, like so it was just funny that Raven was a little apprehensive, but Karen was like, hey, no, it's good. This is for Grace, whatever. And it seemed like Raven was like, all right, so she agrees. Um, Candace is planning an events for moms for Mother's Day. Um, and it seemed, based on what we see in that little clip, like her and her mom are doing well. Um, I don't think I've seen her mom and Chris in the same room recently, but as long as they're able to stay safe, separate, and that marriage is able to stay okay, I think that's the important part. I also think that we haven't really seen a lot of Chris this season, and I know that he's probably still upset from what happened last season. But certain husbands, we like them in low doses. Like we have seen Juan every single episode this season, I think, or almost, or she's called him or something. He is like working. She's like, "Oh, Juan, are you gonna get a job?" No, he's the ninth housewife. He's here. He's clocking in, strapping the boots, and he's coming to work. He's there. But I do miss Chris. I think Chris is always like funny and fun and reasonable. I think he is like Candace's calm. So I've always really liked him for that purpose. Maybe some other people didn't really care for Chris, but I really liked him. So it's sad that we're not seeing him as much as I would like to see him. Um, Candace refuses to invite Giselle, which rightfully so. They have events, they don't invite you. You don't have to invite anybody you don't want to invite. She's on the fence about inviting Robin. She's like, I want to, talk to her and then, extend that invitation. She invites Ashley and her mom, Sheila. It's funny because she shouldn't like Ashley, but, and I said this, Ashley's a good time girl. She's a fun girl. She's someone that, you may not like, but they know how to have a good time. So you kind of like having them around. That's really Ashley's like strength, right? And then on top of that, I think Candace likes Ashley's mom. So, because she likes her mom, she's like, I can't like, and her mom has, even her mom, when Ashley had her event and did not invite Candace, Ashley's mom was like, you should invite her. You know what I mean? So it's like, I could see why Candace would do that. I mean, not 100% because she's still married to the man who's suing you, but at the same time, yes. Um, Wendy meets with some potential producers for her show. It's funny because she's like, I didn't want to part with my last producer, but she wanted 50% ownership. And that is insane. I don't care what nobody say. That is insane. um 50%, girl, you are not the talent, like you are a producer. And I'm not saying producers don't do a lot of work, because they absolutely do, but if she's producing in the sense that she's reaching out to, you know other people for her to meet with, coming up with like scripts and stuff, then I would be like, okay, maybe even then 50% is a lot. It's just a lot. I think Wendy was right to let her go. Now, I hope she's giving these people, it's two of them, maybe 5%, 10% each, but 50 is a lot because 10% each of them is 20%, right? That's not bad. Maybe even 15% each of them is 30% total. That's not really that bad, but 50%, oh, girl was tripping. Tripping, 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 tripping. And if other people are letting her produce their shows with 50% ownership, they're crazy. Uh, it's funny because I keep saying it's funny because that's just how I think about things. I like to think of things as being comical, but she wants to have her show be about like everything, including the political, but including the entertainment. And it's true, no one really does that. Well, okay, let me walk it back. People do that, but they don't have the range, right? I think Wendy really does have the range. So I'm kind of excited to see how she plays it out. Like she has to be really, really careful, because if you go too far into entertainment, then maybe people won't take you seriously on the political, serious side. But then if you go too far into that political serious side, then people may not want to hear your entertainment takes. I think she has to really toe that line and do it well, like really, really well. And, then she'll be fine. But I like it for her. I think this is the space that she should be in. She has done quite a bit of other stuff or wanted to do other stuff. And honestly, I don't blame her. I think as a housewife, while you're in this position and you have the lights on you and the cameras on you and people are watching and following you, you should try to live out every dream that you could possibly think of, because right now is when you'll have the most support. And people are like, oh, didn't she just have a book? Didn't she just have candles? Didn't she just have, like, that is what she should be doing. That's why Ashley's scrambling now that her husband wants to divorce her and she don't have nothing to her name, and she's trying to make GNA clothing line. Nobody wants your clothes. Do you see that? Like, I don't fault Robin for all her businesses. I mean, like, this is what you should be doing in these spaces in these times. You have the people, so do it, right? So all those people talking, y'all just haters and wish you had the capital and the ability to do the things that Wendy and some of these other housewives are doing. I think you should 100% take advantage. And also, I think Wendy has a problem giving 50% because she's going to have to give Bravo something since she's talking about it and doing it on the show. That's why that little Happy Eddie company that's on the side, they ain't mentioning that on the show because Eddie don't want to give up none of his profits to Bravo. Um. Anyways, Neka meets with her older sister Njideka to go furniture shopping. Her sister seems so sweet and so nice, and she's a doctor. And I'm inclined to believe that she's actually really sweet and nice because, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I feel like a lot of her little shit talking and back and forth about Wendy was with her cousin in law, Lebe, and not like with her family. Because if I was upset, I'm calling my sister. But if my sister is not going to condone my mess, then you have to call who's going to condone it. And I think that's who Lebe was, right? Whereas her sister is like, girl, I ain't got time for this. Like, if you want to be on the show, be on the show. If you want me to support you through the show, I'll support you through the show, but I'm not going to support the nonsense. And that's kind of the energy she gives. Maybe that's not who she is. Maybe not. I don't know. But she seems really sweet and I like her. Um, then she literally talks about how NECA is starting a champagne line or something like that. Um, I hate that this was glossed over. Like, girl, you have things happening to you. Why are you focused on Wendy? It's weird. And if the producer who told her to do that, you're terrible because this girl has like a real story that she can give us. I mean, it's too late now. Like, my mind has been made up. NECA is going to have to do some real damage control to end up on the other side of things where it's like, okay, I'm rooting you on. But I think she has a story there. And I don't care to see it at this point. But if she changes and does like a complete 180 and like rebrands, I might be willing to see it, right? Because one, she's an Igbo gal. I mean, I have to support at the end of the day, right? But it's just frustrating because it's like you could have come in as this girl who's trying to get her home together, launching a champagne line, working as an attorney, trying to have children, whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop. Like that could have been your story. Instead, you wanted to come in with a bang and have drama. I think a lot of housewives, or not housewives, right? Because people come to housewives and they come in and they maybe get tested by the older housewives, but otherwise it's pretty smooth, right? But there's people who are intentionally coming to cause a problem because they've been watching the show and they're like, okay, well, I don't like this person, or I'm gonna whoop de whoop de whoop, or this person didn't do this for me, knowing that this is what I wanted, and blah 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 blah. And to me, it's like, girl did that. You have much more. Like, your family is dope. Like, so many things about you could have been highlighted, but what the producers and you fed into, right? Because the producers, yes, they can edit things how they want, but it's like they can't edit what you don't talk about, right? So you fed into it a little bit and then the producers highlighted it when you could have been like, I'm not doing that. I'm not, like, I signed the contract. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna talk about my family because they're dope as hell, and I'm gonna talk about things in my life because I have a lot going on. I would have loved to see that from NECA. Um, and I, even when she went with her sister, it was, like I said, very brief. They glossed over stuff. Um, but she does have the typical Igbo family, like doctor dad, doctor sibling, lawyer. Like, if like, come on now, come on now. That's typical for the Igbos. That's what we do. We doctors, we lawyers, we engineers. Where this is what we do. Like, they try to act like Wendy. Oh, she's not a medical doctor. She's a PhD. But it's like the schooling for a PhD. It's not easy. It's not easy, right? Like, she worked. She's doing something. So, and then her husband is a lawyer. Like, Igbos, we do it. We do this. So I think that would have been a really nice thing to see. Um, then Karen and Giselle and their daughters meet for breakfast. It's funny because they have a little throwback. Well, one, they show us where Karen and Giselle meet. I think they talked about knowing each other. I did not know that they met each other at Jack and Jill, which I think is super cool. I know a lot of people don't like the Jack and Jill blacks, but I'm a fan. I don't have no problem with them. I was never in Jack and Jill. My parents didn't believe in Jack and Jill. My dad said, if I can't make friends, then wasn't meant for me to have none. He's like, I'm not paying to get you a single friend. But yes, yeah, thinking about it's funny. But yeah, I think Jack and Jill is super cool, and I think it's a really good experience for a lot of youth. So I'm glad. But she said that Raven and Grace didn't know each other from Jack and Jill because of the age difference. Because Grace should just be 18 and Raven is 25, so that is quite a bit of a difference. Um, 6 years? No, I'm not even gonna try and do math for y'all because y'all will shade me. So I'm gonna just stop right there. I'm actually pretty decent at math, but don't let this influence how you look at it. But yeah, so it was really cool. And then they talk about like the little cookie debacle, and they show Karen and Giselle 7 years prior eating those cookies that Giselle made. And it's funny because I do remember them talking about Giselle being a really good baker. And I'm sad that that hasn't been more of a storyline. Like Giselle should be apologizing with cookies and brownies every single time. Like, girl, bring that back, right? Maybe y'all don't eat it because these people don't really be eating food, but whatever. Well, they ate their food, thankfully. Um, but it seemed like a pretty productive conversation because, again, Grace is the first child. I think for like Adore and Angel, obviously they'll be able to go to Grace, whereas Grace doesn't really have anybody to turn to have this conversation with because she is the eldest. So I think it's really nice that Raven was available to her. And it's true. She's like, you cry, you're sad, whatever. But when you get there, that freedom that you have, it hits different. It hits different. You're like, I might miss my family, but I really like freedom. And I like being here, and I like being amongst my peers, and I like having the ability to do what I want. So I think it's really cool that she was able to kind of express that to her and let her know that's completely normal too, right? Because you might start thinking like, am I a bad person because I don't want to go home and see my siblings and my family? Like I'm here with my friends, and it's like, oh, I'll come see you when it's Christmas break or things, whatever break it is. But anytime before that, nah. So it was a nice little cute little conversation. Um, Robin and Juan take their kids to go get like stretched or massages. I don't know, maybe they're at the chiropractor, maybe they're at the massage place. Really don't know which one it is. But Candace texts Candace texts Robin while she's there, and she invites her to the Mother's Day thing. And Juan's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, you should go. That's nice of her. This is why I think, could be wrong, but this is why I think that without Giselle, Robin and Candace would be back good because Juan is encouraging it. Yeah. Anyways, so, um, but I, it's just so frustrating because Giselle's influence is so apparent. Like Robin is really somebody that is like whatever. Like you could tell she don't really be holding stuff. She really don't. Not saying she doesn't care. I mean, she does say, turns out I 100% don't care, but she doesn't seem like someone who's going to be holding something with somebody that she actually likes. But I feel like all this extra holding and being angry is because of Giselle. Because if she was talking about Robin and Juan is the big culprit and he's this, why isn't Juan mad? I think that's important to note that Juan is not mad. And he has the right to be mad. Not mad like, oh, F Robin, because I mean F Candace, because that's like women's business. But it's like, you don't have to, he would have been like, you don't have to mess with her. Like, you don't have to be cool with her if you don't want to. But that's not his energy at all. His energy is very encouraging towards that friendship. Um, but yeah, so anyways, Robin is talking to Juan about the job and their relationship and all this stuff. And Juan either fakes falling asleep or really fell asleep. I don't know, but he don't like that girl. Don't like that girl. Oh God, it's okay. He loves her though. That I will say. I know that about him. I could tell that. Like, I know a lot of people say a lot of things, but Juan loves Robin. He just doesn't like her. That's just what it is. Um, so yeah, then we see Ashley and Sheila getting ready for the Mother's Day event, which is cute. Karen shows up first to the Mother's Day event. And when I say first, she's there before Candace and her family. Like, girl, you're the host. Where are you? You can't show up after your guest when you're hosting something. It's a little tacky. It's at this place. It is so nice, so pretty, so classy. It looks regal. Like it's at this, I think, perfume place. And let me tell you, Karen didn't waste a moment to bring up Ladam in the presence of other perfumes. Like, girl, you better sell that. I like this. She then Mia shows up after Candace. And I just realized, like, this is the first time we're seeing Mia this entire episode. Like, girl, where were you? That was pretty interesting. Usually they show little clips, and unless I like blacked out during her brief clip, they did not show her up until this event. Um, Mia's sad because her mom didn't come, and she talks about how her mom does everything with her sister, and like they go and get mani pedis and they do all this, but the mom won't come and show up for her. And honestly, it's kind of sad, but I think the mom doesn't like her. And again, people have tumultuous relationships like this with their parents. Um, you know, it's just one of those things. The mom probably loves her. That's her child. She cares for her, but maybe she don't like her as much as she liked the sister. And I make that distinct difference because I think there is a difference. Like, you can love family and friends and people, but you may not like exactly who they are. You love them because of the connection and the years and the, certain things that you have experienced, but you don't really care for certain characteristics they have, and then it makes it hard to always be around them. Um, then Charisse shows up. Wendy doesn't come because she claims that she's already committed to something else. Ashley thinks that it's might be that, but it also might be because NECA is showing up. And so she didn't want her mom and NECA in the same place as her mom and NECA in the same place. Point blank, period, right? Um, which kind of makes sense because, like, if this is supposed to be a classy little Mother's Day event, why bring unnecessary drama? Um, like I said, Sharice shows up, and so Mia and Sharice start talking, and Mia asks Sharice about Karen, and she's like, "She's just not talking to me." But it's funny because I'm sure Karen said hi. They didn't show it, but I'm sure she said hi. But there was no drama at this event because there was no Giselle to force somebody or try to force somebody to talk to someone else. See, because people say Ashley's drama, and Ashley is drama. She's a lot of drama, but Ashley will know when a situation does not call for certain things. Sometimes she'll know, and this was one of those situations because she had her mom there and everything was good, that she knew this was not the event to try and bring that drama. Like, Mia might have asked, but it was separate of everybody. It was not a situation where it's like we getting rowdy up in here type thing. Um, Charisse talks to Mia about Jacqueline, and it was so weird because she acted like she just saw her. She didn't just see her. She said they went to lunch. And then after lunch, she said, "Oh, well, I have this event to go to. You should come with me." So Sharice is just hanging out with Jacqueline. Does she even hang out with Mia? That's kind of weird. And then she says that NECA showed up to the event and NECA also met Jacqueline. And then they show a little confessional of NECA complaining about how Jacqueline was talking shit to her about Mia the whole time. She's like, I don't even know her like that. And she told me every bad thing Mia ever said about her for like 2 hours. And I'm like, see, NECA, this is why the people are having a tough time with you. You could have been like, I met Jacqueline. I don't know why she was talking to me about stuff she knew I had no business in and moved on. But you really try to play the girl that you don't know. That was weird. Um, Mia talks about how her and Jacqueline haven't spoken in like a year. I mean, obviously, if you are on social media, you know that they're back cool now. But that's crazy to me that at that time they hadn't spoken for a year, especially somebody who you've known since you were 15. But then also hearing that bit about how Jacqueline's boyfriend raped her, it kind of is like, oh, okay, like you're probably processing so much more than what we saw on camera. Like it wasn't just what we saw on camera, it was so much more than that, you know? Um, but yeah, so then Karen, they're sitting at the table, everybody's enjoying. Like I said, it's a really, really good event. Sharice asks Ashley about her divorce. Ashley says she's not ready to divorce, and we all know it's because of the money. It has nothing to do with anything else. She's like, oh, I'm not ready. You're not ready to lose your income. Maybe he's still paying the mortgage, maybe he's still doing all this stuff. Like, you, I think that she's waiting to see the outcome of this lawsuit to see if he gets the 2 million for the house, and maybe he's agreed to give it to her if he gets it, and that's what she's waiting for. Once that lawsuit is either dismissed, completed, thrown out, whatever is determined, I think we will see a quicker, you know, step to those divorce. Um then yeah, NECA asks Candace about Wendy and like if she was coming. And I'm like, why are you asking about somebody you hate? Girl, stop this. Stop that. It's weird. Karen asks about Robin. And Candace says that she declined the invitation because she's like, they're not in a space to be in a group. I don't know what she said. All I know is she said something that was BS. She didn't go because Giselle didn't go. Candace, leave that girl alone. She is Giselle's puppet. That is who she is. She is her puppet. If Giselle says jump, Robin says how high. She didn't go to that event because Giselle was not there. It is almost like she cannot move, walk, talk, be in a space without Giselle. And it's getting a little weird because you're not a child. And don't get me wrong, Robin, you know, has every right to be mad at Candace. But this was about the mothers, and this is an event that everybody was invited to. If Karen and Sharice could sit in the same room, you and Candace could sit in the same room. You get along with Candace's mother anyway, so it's not like weird, weird. I just think, like I said, she lets Giselle control way too much of the things that she does. Um, then Candace calls everybody inside so she can sing briefly for them, and Candace can sing. She really can. But why she was singing at her event, I'm not really sure. I wonder, does Beyonce throw events and sing? I mean, it's kind of like, if I could sing, would I throw an event and sing? Like, you have to think, what would you do? And I kind of think I probably would, right? Like, if I had the opportunity to showcase my talent like that, and anytime I could get people together, I might do it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I might do it. Uh, I don't know. It just seems so random in the context of the event. Um, then the event ends. It was a beautiful event, classy event, no drama, just high class everything. People have been talking about our Real Housewives of Potomac being poor. This event was not poor, honey. It was not poor hunty. It was good. It was classy. It was nice. It was rich. It was elegant. It was everything that people want this series to be. Um, yes. So Candace goes and she calls Robin to meet up for them to have a conversation. And honestly, I feel like the conversation was pretty pointless. Candace thinks that there's a way that they can move forward. And I'm like, you said a lot of harsh things. I can admit that, even as someone who, generally likes Candace, but you said a lot of harsh things. The first thing out of your mouth should have been like, everything I said that offended you, I apologize. Number one, first and foremost, I'm sorry. I didn't realize in my anger how hard I was coming for you. Maybe you don't, because sometimes you're angry. And I'm live tweeting, live reacting. I probably should have taken a moment, taken a step back, and not gone so hard. I'm sorry. And I feel like that's really hard for Candace to say because she feels that there was a plot on her husband. And do I agree with her? I do believe there was a plot on her husband, but I don't think there was a plot on her husband from Robin. I think it was from Giselle and Ashley. And I think Robin, towards the end, started getting a little bit more sucked into it just with the consistency of it, you know? Like, I think, like I said, she kind of lets Giselle dictate how she moves. Like, okay, maybe at first she was like, no, no, no. But then she started to be like, okay, maybe we can all just admit this and that and blah. And it's like, girl, you should have never said that because now you look complicit, even if you weren't, right? And that was Robin's biggest thing is how could you say that I'm your friend but really think that I would plot against you? And that's where I think they're having that disconnect. And Candace is wrong because yes, towards the end she started getting a little bit more weird. And after you started talking, she started really coming hard on her a podcast and on Patreon or whatever the hell that is. So I can see why Candace is upset today, but I think that she should have just started with an apology and then came and explained her side of why she was upset and what have you. Because it wasn't just conducive to anything. And so they just started going back and forth. And eventually, they decide, or the way it comes as if they decided that they just not going to be cool. And Candace gets up and she walks out and she left a full plate of food on the table. The one thing Robin did that I was like, shout out to you, is she at least started to look like she was packing up her food. Like, you ordered, you paid for it, and you looked at that food untouched, got up and left. Girl, I don't care how mad I am, girl. We finna sit here and eat. Or bring me a box and let me get out of here. Because how do you leave a full plate of food? You're wildin'. I mean, it didn't look too tasty, but I paid for it. Oh, God. I don't know. I don't know how Candace and Robin move forward. Like, I really, really don't. I can't imagine that there is a way for them to move forward because Candace is really stubborn and Robin is letting other people dictate how she feels. If there's anybody she should let dictate how she feels, it's her husband. How do you feel about this? Would you be mad if I'm friends with this person after what they did? If he says no, it's really the only person that matters. So I just don't know, man. What do you guys think? Do you think that Robin should give Candace another chance? Do you think Candace is in the right? Do you think Candace needs to just come out and apologize? Like, what is it? How did you guys feel about this episode? I actually didn't think it was too bad. I think that they're trending back in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to be done to really get in the right direction for this season. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, share my videos. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.